Hi there, welcome to Caroline Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Libra energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Libra energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy, because we've all got free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And we have our dualistic nature. Our shadowy, worldly nature is where we're more, could just be wanting to keep doing what we've been doing because we have fear of moving forward, doing life differently. But it can be that we're kind of more manipulated by our fear or insecurity, our pride, our ego, our more immature nature, codependent nature, lustful, greedy, petty, envious, jealous. You know, the list of our shadow nature is different for everyone, but we can all be manipulated by the world, and we can all be manipulated by our self-doubt. So some people could be struggling within themselves right now. Other people might not be. Some people have moved forward in life with more hope and faith and belief in themselves. Healed, grow, change in some way, you know, because the truth sets us free to live our life differently. And some people work through some things that could have been manipulating them before. And while some people are moving forward in life differently, some other people didn't maybe feel the need to move forward. You know, we'll all live our life the way we're living our life until something kind of makes us feel that we're just either ready to face our fears and move forward in life differently, or something about it doesn't quite align with our truth anymore. And then we have to do that process of working through all that. And so some people are happy just living their life the way they're living their life. Other people are moving forward in life differently. Maybe they used to live their life that way and view life that way, and they're moving forward in life differently. At different stages of our life and our emotional maturity level, we view life differently and what we think is just and fair. High vibe energy, though, is based on making decisions more out of love and respect for yourself, growing and healing and maturing. A more shadowy energy can be more about those shadowy things, fear, insecurity, or codependency. And some people are shadowy. Some people are more about themselves. They are more immature. They are more impulsive or reckless or egotistical or self-centered or materialistic, self-indulgent. And they're happy living their life the way they're living it. You know, to each their own. Everybody can live their life whatever way they want. They just have the consequences, you know. What is it? Every action has a reaction. They just have to live with the consequences of their life, you know. And a lot of times we can be on different pages with people in our friend group, in our family group, in our immediate family, our extended family, people we work with, and it doesn't matter because you do you, I'll do me. When it's a problem, more so, that's more complicated, is when it's someone that we've either been friends with for a long time and we thought we were going to kind of move forward, kind of being on the same page, or a romantic interest, you know, and then it's more challenging. So let's go look at the top row. In the top row, the reason the reading came out is because of the Aquarius star card, which can talk about our dreams. And we can be in certain situations or relationships with people. At one time, that could have been our dream. At one time, if we were working together with other people, we kind of viewed life the same. We had the same dream. But then maybe as time goes by, their dream is different than our dream. Our long-term goals in a way could be different. A more shadowy Aquarius energy could be that some people are a little bit more about themselves, kind of like to be the center of attention. Everybody else puts aside their pride and ego in this relationship, but not them. It can be people just more caught up in the world, either indulgence or making their life more about status and ego and image. And, you know, there can come a time, the reason for the bottom rose reading is the Emperor energy, fire sign energy. We live our life at a certain phase of life, and then we kind of get inspired to maybe make our life more than just about ourselves or those things of the world. And it's like our fiery nature kind of matures, and we're just kind of willing to step outside of societal norms to be one of the people who brings needed change to the world. You know, we all live our life a certain way. We've all got these lessons to learn, and we think that's living the dream life. And we could, you know, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, we could make a lot of these things of the world that we're kind of fired up about, that we want to manifest in our life. We make those things really important. And then maybe as we grow up more, we do look at life from a higher perspective, because in our more worldly nature, we could have been more about ourselves and looking like a boss in the world, or being more about ourselves. But if we really want our dream to come into reality, love is what makes it all worthwhile. And, you know, as people go through life, they can have all those things of the world. They can be where people are making them the center of attention, like they're the boss. And then they kind of realize maybe if it's not based on love, I can have all these things of the world. I can have it where it's more about me. I can be the center of attention. But if I'm not with people who more authentically love me, and just realizing love is what makes it all worthwhile. So, in the top row, we have the Ten of Swords. The 9 and the 10s can talk about completing a cycle. And when we work through all those reasons why we were tempted to keep living life the way we were living it, we kind of realize either how we're living our life backstabs and betrays us, or who we were in relationship with, if that's a job or a friendship or a romantic relationship. Maybe that our dreams are different. And sometimes we're in relationships with people who really didn't want us to grow to our full potential, didn't want us to believe in our dreams, wanted shadowy Aries. Doesn't mean you're dealing with an Aries. Everybody harnesses these different zodiac sign traits and characteristics in a more high vibe, worldly, or shadowy way. There's just some people who think they should be the boss of your life. And they've decided how they want to live their life, their idea of the dream life. And you're not supposed to have your own dreams. You're not supposed to be high vibe energies about being independent. Having your own dreams, having your own unique talent, skills, and interests. And sometimes there's other people in the world who don't like that. You're supposed to make them like the center of your universe, and that can be how they view the dream relationship. Or they're bossy or controlling or egotistical or immature, whatever it is. Anyway, you work through all the mental confusion, just like other people have done in the world. And there was a way of living life that it wasn't aligned with your truth anymore. At one time it could be, you know. We were all 15, 18, 21, 25. We had a way of living life, a way of viewing life, things we wanted to invest our time and energy in. That was the dream life. And then it kind of came a time where it's like, you know, I'm ready to let go of this way of living life, you know. I maybe have grown up and matured. I have looked at life differently. I have a dream. If I want my dream to come into reality, I've got to grow up. I've got to heal. I've got to look at life differently. I have to believe in myself. So we detach from an old way of living life. And the 8 of Wands is we're inspired to move forward in life. And high vibe, 8 of Wands, Sagittarius, is about going on an adventure, higher learning and education. I am inspired. Fire energy again. I am inspired to not give up on my dreams. So I need to see the things I need to detach from, ways of being within myself, ways of viewing the world, ways of feeling about myself, other people I'm hanging out with. I need to see the truth of it, because the truth sets me free. And if I'm sabotaging myself, or I'm in relationships with people who aren't being loving and encouraging and supportive, I need to be kind of like a good leader in my own life. And I need to take inspired action in my own life. The 3 of Cups, being inspired by love. I need to operate from a foundation of love, and I want to be in relationships with other people who operate from a foundation of love, harnessing high vibe Cancer energy. And I need to be willing to take a leap of faith. And the Fool card, like the Emperor, is Aries energy. And maybe before we lived our life a certain way because we thought that was living the dream, or we thought we were the boss and we could kind of control things, and it didn't work out the way we wanted. And we kind of realized that I can't change other people. I can't control things. I have to, high vibe energies going with the flow. And I have to accept the truth that things I might want aren't things that other people want. My idea of the dream life and how I view life can be different than other people's idea of the dream life and how they view life. And I have to accept the truth of it. We're kind of on different pages. And I need to love and believe in myself to be willing to listen. I kind of view high vibe fire energy also as listening to our more creative, inspired, intuitive nature. To be willing to take that leap of faith, to stand up for myself. And as I'm moving forward, there might be, the wands can talk about communicating with people. Communicating with people in our world. This is, how I'm moving forward. I've learned some lessons in life. I've grown or healed or learned to love myself. Do you want to move forward with me in that way? Some of those people aren't ready. They might be people kind of motivated and inspired by love, but maybe when we were going through our life experience, some of those people moved on ahead of us. And some of those people already got in relationships with people who are more in high vibrational energy, and maybe before we weren't in more high vibrational energy. So some of those people that we could communicate with would be like, gee, I'd like to, but I'm already in something that is a victory worth defending, so you're going to have to move on without me. Other of those people might say, you know what, maybe I was kind of moving forward a little bit more out of pride and ego, or as I was moving forward, I realized some of the people I was hanging out with were kind of defensive, and yeah, I do want to move forward with you in that way. Either way, high vibe people just accept the truth. And they don't want to be in relationships with people that are more happy being focused on the regrets of the past. And because they haven't healed from regrets of the past, they might just want to be in a relationship. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. It could be people that want you and they could communicate with you that I want to reunite with you, I want to work with you, you should move forward with me. And it's like, I don't think you've healed from some things, and I don't want to be in relationships with people that are still more focused on the regrets of the past, because those things still manipulate you. And if you haven't worked through those things, or you have the feminine figures in tarot can talk about how we think and feel, and the Queen of Pentacles has their back to looking at life from a higher perspective. There's going to be people in your life that you meet that they could be sad about a relationship they were in that didn't work out, or they could be sad that a relationship with you hadn't worked out, but they still might kind of have not learned some of the lessons that you've learned, and they might not have learned to look at life from a higher perspective. It might be that what I went to didn't work out, we should get in a relationship, but I still don't look at life from a higher perspective. And high vibe Aquarius is also having hope and faith and belief that you can heal. And some people are like, no, but I want to be like the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. It's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone just because something else didn't work out. I don't want to be in a relationship, but you really don't want to bring the dream into reality. And emotionally maybe being more attached to the world, where this would look good. I'd look like a shining star. I would look like I have maybe stability or security, or I've grown up and matured myself, but I really haven't. So, as high vibe people are moving forward, they're working together with others, going on this journey of learning lessons. As they meet different people, a critical component could be Leo energy. And Leo energy has to do with, have we learned to love and believe in ourselves? Kind of like invested in working through our regrets of the past, to stand up for ourselves and get out of our mental conflict about those things, and our more competitive nature, our controlling nature, our more worldly nature, to be inspired by love. And then there could be some people who they have had their regrets of the past with you or other people, but they've emotionally worked through those things, and they realize that if they kept moving forward with the way they were living life, they were kind of turning their back to their dream and realizing, I need to stand up against my own more worldly nature and people in my life who could be loving, nurturing people, but again, maybe a little bit more inspired by the world or the ego or the image or the codependency. And it's like, I don't want to be in that kind of relationship. I want to be in a relationship with people who are more inspired by love. And so at any time in our life, you, just like other people, have to kind of take some time to think about, what is my truth? What is my dream? What is aligned with my truth? I can know a lot of loving, nurturing, creative, inspired, attractive people, whatever, but and in one way you could feel like it would be look victorious and successful, but is it really your dream? Same way when we're in jobs. Do I want to keep in this job, or do I want to go get a different job? And we have to make these decisions. High vibe people, if they notice people seem to operate more from their ego, defensive nature, they want to kind of, in one way, repeat this pattern in a more shadowy way. Like, how about you be inspired by love, and instead of me moving forward with the people I was in a relationship, I just come back here and get in a relationship with you, but I'm going to still be defensive. It's like, no. I'm going to stand up for myself against people who are like that, because I want to be in relationships with people who have worked through their more worldly, defensive, egoic nature to be inspired by love, and they're authentic, and they're, emotionally stable and grounded, and they've worked through the regrets of the past, and they have hope and faith and belief in love. And there could be some people that, like I mentioned, some people aren't going to move forward with you in that way because they're still emotionally manipulated by either being more about themselves, more about the world, other people in their life that manipulate them, maybe by their mind and their defensive nature. And, for a while, we can be in a loving, nurturing stance towards people. And just like you could be in that energy towards people, other people in the world are in that energy towards people in their life. And we can keep hoping that people, instead of getting up in their ego and their inner conflict or their defensiveness, where they go repeat some poor past patterns, because when you're in a relationship, you have the free will choice to be truthful and just and fair and be inspired by truth and love and character and integrity. And sometimes we're in friendships, workplaces, relationships where some people that we would like to have a dream come into reality with are defensive. And part of it could be because, the difference between the 3 of Cups and the 10 of Cups is the 7 of Cups. So these kind of represent the 7 of Cups. Some people have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. They could kind of be on the right path where they're not like bossy and controlling and egotistical and self-centered, but they could just still have some growing up and maturing to do. A little bit more about themselves, or kind of still more defensive, or wanting to go indulge themselves in the world, and aren't more independent of things that could manipulate them, again, within themselves or the world or their mind or their fear or other people in their life, friends and family members. Other people in the Seven of Cups want a deep, meaningful relationship. People who've worked through the emotional confusion. Seven of Cups is Scorpio energy, and at the bottom here we have the Death card, which is also Scorpio energy. It's hard. We're emotionally complex people. We can know people that we think are immature, emotionally manipulative, live more for their mind than their heart, but we can have love for them. Brothers, sisters, parents, adult children, friends, romantic interests. And it's hard to work through that because we are emotionally complex human beings. But sometimes some people do try to use the love that they know. That would be high vibe Queen of Pentacles. People who do put a lot of work and effort to make a relationship work and bring a dream into reality. And sometimes when some people know that people are very loving and nurturing and put in a lot of work and effort to try to bring that dream into reality, they kind of think they can kind of do these more immature, emotionally manipulative, kind of self-indulgent things because when they've done it before and were kind of defensive to some people in their life, those people in the Five of Cups were sad, but they weren't willing to become independent of them. They still were willing to invest in it, and if we enable poor behavior in ourselves and others, odds are it's probably going to get worse. And then we have to do this shadow work within ourselves. Let's just jump down there and look at it. We have the Page of Cups, the Eight of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Death card. So, the Page of Cups can mean that we love people. The Eight of Swords, though, we could be up in a mental prison, and there's a maximum of 10. So if you're 8 swords up in your head, you're thinking about 2 cups of love in your heart. And it's like, do they love me? Do they not love me? Why are they doing this? Why are they not working through their regrets of the past to be free of those things? Why aren't they emotionally growing or healing or maturing themselves? Why aren't they acting? I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus energy. Why aren't they acting with more character and integrity? Probably when you got in a relationship or started a job or whatever, at some point, in some ways, there could have been, that you thought you were both on the same page. And high vibe Emperor energy is where you thought someone had learned these lessons in life. That high vibe Emperor is where people have learned these lessons in the 4 suits of the deck. They've let their heart run their life. They let their mind run their life. They let their worldly nature, their more immature, lustful, greedy nature run their life. And you thought you got in a relationship with someone who had the life experience that if they let 1, 2, or 3 aspects of themselves kind of run their life, it's going to kind of run their life off into the ditch. Because the truth is, all 4, in tarot, we have the 4 suits of the deck. All 4 of those aspects of ourselves, if we learn lessons in life, we realize they're all equally important. Living my truth from my mind and being truthful with myself and feeling stable and balanced within myself, being just and fair, being truthful, being in relationships with other people who are. But sometimes some people get really caught up in their defensiveness. That can be like you're self-protective, living more from your mind than your heart. In the Ten of Swords, nope, I have regrets in the past I haven't worked through. I turned my back on being in a more committed relationship. I don't trust that. I've been backstabbed before. Well, they think the answer to not being hurt is to maybe make their life in shadowy Aries energy, which Aries energy is about the self. And we either grow and mature ourselves and we learn that if I ignore certain aspects of myself, like, oh, my emotional nature doesn't matter, that's insignificant. I can use my emotions manipulatively, my sexuality manipulatively, my resources in the world. I don't really need to do love, or I can disregard being more stable or grounded in myself. No, I can just go off and do whatever I want to go do, and again, maybe using my emotions, my mind, my passionate nature, and I don't have to put in work and effort to have stability and security in my life. And they would think that's living the dream, and that maybe they would find someone who would be willing to get in a relationship because of those other three areas that they've invested time and energy into, but they don't want to maybe put in work and effort to be more stable and grounded and emotionally mature. You know, and some people just are more about themselves, and if there's someone who comes along that they're attracted to, I'm going to go get in a relationship with them. If there's someone who they think they can more emotionally manipulate than the people they've been in a relationship with, well, I do kind of like more to emotionally manipulate people. I'll try to go get in a relationship with someone else. If someone else is willing to indulge me in my more immature nature where I don't have to grow and emotionally mature myself or work through my regrets of the past, I'm going to go get in a relationship with someone new. Maybe someone who's went through a painful ending. They're trying to move forward. They want to get in a relationship. I'll go get in a relationship with them. Because I am defensive to aligning with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. Because part of aligning with that aspect within myself, I have to work through that Three of Cups. I have to work through these things that I might be tempted by, whether that is I like to live more from my mind than my heart, I like to be more immature, I like to be more about me. If they were to work through those people in their life that manipulate them, things within themselves that manipulate them, or their fear of love, or past pain and heartbreak, they could emotionally mature themselves and they could have their dream come into reality. And this could be, for some of you, it could just be people in your life. If you're, you could be a parent and you could have children. Well, everybody's got to learn lessons the hard way. And a lot of us had to learn lessons the hard way, right? And we can be sad and we could just have friends and family members that we just feel, and maybe it could have been someone you wanted to marry, someone you were married to. We can't make people work through those issues that manipulate them, or people in their life that manipulate them, or their fear, or their immaturity, They have to be inspired to want to do that themselves. And some people are not inspired to do that because it does take work and effort. And you do have to put things in perspective and look at things from a bigger picture. And just because it takes work and effort, some people are like, forget it. I'll just go find other people to hang out with, or I'll keep hanging out with these people. And they keep thinking, and they could be trying to offer love and encouragement to some people in their life. Like, I won't move forward if those people don't move forward and live their life like this, because they could be defensive of being more independent from them, and that they would be sad that those people aren't working together with them in their life. And so, say if some people were to go get a certain job, or leave a job, or if people were to get in a more serious relationship, or if people were to marry someone that other people in their life are kind of defensive to, or they just like to be the primary person and attention in some people's lives, And if those people in their life say, I don't like those people, you shouldn't hang out with those people, you shouldn't go there, if you go there or you hang out with them, I'm going to be defensive to you. Well, sometimes you can be married to people and their friend group or their original family group is who they're still more codependent on, and they're not someone who you thought was more independent, regardless of if they're 21, 35, 65. You know, some people, and it can just be the world that manipulates them, you know? And if they really emotionally are more inspired by the world and looking like a boss in the world, high vibe energy in high vibe Leo, I view the Queen of Wands and the Seven of Wands as Leo energy, is being inspired to free yourself from those things that manipulate you. Your own fear and insecurity and other people in the world that tries to manipulate you. High vibe energy is knowing your worth and value. Living your authentic life, because shadow energy at the big picture is kind of represented by the devil. All these things that try to manipulate us, control us, limit us, restrict us, imprison us. High vibe energy is make decisions in truth and love. Live your authentic life. You have been given emotionally. The pentacle can represent your unique talent, skills, and interest. And some people are like, well, I don't want to be high vibe Leo energy, shine my authentic light in the world. I don't want to invest in my own unique talent, skills, and interest. Maybe people would be defensive to me. Maybe if I shine my light, was a high vibe person who shines my light in the world and I don't hide it under a bushel basket, and I make good decisions in my life and I go invest in what is aligned with my truth and love, there's people in my life who might be defensive to me, or the world, you know. Had a big picture with the devil, the world can be about conforming to the world. There's that Bible verse, don't conform to this world, but be transformed. That's what the death card's about, transformation. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You can either be a slave to all these things that manipulate you, your own mind, your own more immature nature, lustful, greedy, prideful nature. Other people in your life who want you to live your life like that would be happy if you lived your life that way, because then you'd stay in a relationship with them. Then we can have friends and family members, if they make their life more about the world and conforming to the world, and they would never kind of live their more authentic life. It's like, oh my gosh, no, you're supposed to make your life about this, and you're supposed to hang out with these people, and you're supposed to wear this, and you're supposed to act like this, and you're supposed to talk like this, and you're supposed to dress like this. You're not supposed to go do that, and you're not supposed to hang out with those people, and you're not supposed to look like that. You know, high vibe people are like, you know, I have no ill will towards other people. I wish everybody peace and love. I hope everybody frees themselves from things that manipulate them. I treat other people the way I like to be treated, with compassion and respect. If they act in manipulative ways, the death card can be people who aren't very loving, people who are backstabbing, people who are immature, people who are emotionally manipulative, people who are bossy and controlling, people who are prideful and egotistical. No, those people I'm going to keep my distance from emotionally. You know, I don't really want to invest in them because they don't know how to work together. The Three of Cups talks about working together with people cooperatively from love, and some people haven't learned those lessons yet. But other people could keep indulging people like that in their life because they're defensive of emotionally detaching from those people and making good decisions in their life to invest in the truth. In high vibe, if someone is holding the one pentacle, it means they did the inner work to deal with the truth. and realizing my dream cannot come into reality with other people who haven't been illuminated to some truths in the world. That maybe they do have these shadowy ways of being, or these fears, or these insecurities, or maybe they are immature, maybe they are impulsive and reckless, maybe they are bossy and controlling and full of themselves. Well, if I emotionally grew and mature myself, and I detach from acting in those shadowy ways, high vibe Leo is like disciplining your more beastly nature. I want to be in relationships with other people who've tempered their more beastly nature. To work together with people in workplaces, friendships, and relationships in an emotionally mature way, keeping things in perspective, taking responsibility for dealing with their own issues of the past so that they don't act in hurtful, unkind, bossy, controlling, immature, manipulative ways of being, repeating some poor past patterns, because they've already learned if I act like that, the relationships end in the Ten of Swords. And I want to move forward with loving people who are inspired to be emotionally mature and loving. I want to be in a relationship with people like that. And so high vibe people detach from being more about themselves and being in a mental prison and letting their ego or their more immature or impulsive or reckless or defensive nature run their life. They invested the time, energy, and effort to wrap their brain around this game of life and see the truth about what manipulates them, and saw the truth. If I keep repeating those old patterns, viewing life that way, living life that way, hanging out with certain types of people that live their life a certain way, it's going to keep me back here. And I want a dream to come into reality. And my dream is not coming into reality here. And that's when I need to be willing to stand up for myself. And from the 8 of Wands down to the 7 of Wands is letting go of the one wand. There was things, maybe in our ego, because the Queen of Wands is holding one wand. There was things that, again, it's kind of in our ego thinking, no, I can control things. Like I'm the boss. No, like God, I know these people. I see what they're doing. But no, I can change them. I'm going to be loving and nurturing and supportive to them. I'm sure one day they'll change. The fives talk about change. The only person we can change is us. We can offer people love and encouragement and truth. But unless they're motivated and inspired to change, they're not going to. And some people, by their actions towards us, they're not taking action towards us, show us in their free will how they want to live their life. And the truth will set us free. And we have to work through that emotional confusion of it. And sometimes some people we thought were on the same page. They presented themselves as being a more stable, grounded, emotionally mature person. And then we found out that wasn't the truth. But that doesn't mean that automatically stops us from having love for them. And then we have to work through the confusion of it. And from the 8 to the 10 of Swords is the 2 of Swords of feeling stuck. I have this dream, but I love them. I'd like to stay at this job, but these people act these certain ways. Again, I don't know if I can stay here. We'd all like the friendships and relationships and jobs we have to work out the way we wanted them to work. But if we can honestly say that, we don't have to encourage people in their poor behavior, but if during the course of that relationship, we felt like we were doing what we could do, that we were acting with character and integrity, that we weren't being manipulative or immature or bossy or controlling, well then we did do everything we could do. And if that's not enough, it's never going to be enough. And we have to see the truth of it. And that some people's idea of the dream life is different than yours. And shadowy energy can be that, some people don't want to do love. They don't really want to authentically, emotionally invest in a relationship. I will be in the relationship with you. I will indulge in the relationship with you. I will have sex in the relationship with you. But I'm kind of in my ego and my defensive nature to really doing love. And so then it's kind of either they're very self-protective of themselves, or they're other people can be more about themselves. And if you're not being truthful and honest and just and fair and authentic, that would be high vibe Leo energy, because Leo energy is also represented by the sun, being authentic and loving and warm, life-giving energy. Then people are defending their more immature or worldly or being defensive of themselves nature. And some people, their way of operating in the world is to try to emotionally manipulate people to get them to do what they want, instead of being more authentic or loving. And they also could be more inspired by themselves or the world. And if that's what drives and motivates them, looking like a shining star in the world, instead of love, well, if that's not your truth, and if that's not why you want to keep staying in the relationship, where you would indulge people in a relationship more because of the ego or the image or the status or your fear or your insecurity or your codependency, they would maybe be willing to stay in a relationship for all those reasons. And they think you should too. And some people are like, this isn't my truth. You seem to be in a mental prison about love, like maybe more codependent relationships, like other people to maybe feel more codependent on you. And then you think it justifies you acting in these more immature, bossy ways of being. And it could be using the love that I have for you to try to manipulate and control me. Like, I bet they won't leave. They'll be sad. I know they love me. I know they want this dream to come into reality. It's like, yeah, I do, but it can't if you keep acting this way. And eventually I see the truth. In our Scorpio energy, the Five of Cups and the Death card, I am motivated and inspired to work through things that manipulate me. My own fears, my own insecurities, how the world manipulates me, how other people in life can try to manipulate me, how my past pain and heartbreak can make me defensive to loving and believing in myself or believing in love. But I'm not gonna let all those negative things that could have happened in my life keep me defensive. I am inspired to not give up on my dreams. And I'm going to work through those regrets of the past to emotionally detach from those regrets of the past. And I'm going to emotionally offer love to those things, because the truth is, love is the answer. And high vibe people learn that. I need to offer love to myself and these things that happened in my past so I can let it go. So it doesn't manipulate me the way it used to manipulate me. And then I've transformed my whole life. And if I was a more codependent, fearful energy, more defensive to believing in my dreams, I've learned to love and believe in myself and make better decisions in my life. And I'm not going to let other people or those things be the boss of my life. And I'm not going to let shadowy, hurtful, immature people, be the boss of my life. They don't write the story of my life. I write the story of my life. But there is some people in their ego who don't like people who are more independent, who aren't playing the game, who aren't indulging them, who aren't letting them be bossy and controlling of you. And then they can purposely do things to backstab and betray you because they want you in the same energy like they live their life from. And it's like, no, I don't. You probably act like that because there was people once upon a time you emotionally invested in that you thought would act with character and integrity, that would work together with them in a loving way, and they didn't. And they let other shadowy people in their life, or immature or hurtful or whatever type of people in their life, write the story of their life. And now they're in shadowy energy too. It's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not willing to give up on my dreams. I'm just going to detach from the people in my life who might try to present themselves as these people that are just and fair, and they're not selfish, and they're not egotistical, and they're not more about themselves, and they're not immature, and they're, male or female. I'm not going to let people who have shown me that they backstab people, that they're codependent, that they are in a mental prison about maybe being more authentic, of being more independent, who have a lot of things that emotionally manipulate them and to be they're defensive. I accept the truth that that's where you're at. I've been there to some degree myself in my life. I know how hard it is to get out of that. The devil gets a hold on you, gets you in a stranglehold. It's really hard to get out of things that manipulate us. But you did the work, and I'm not going to repeat that old pattern for anyone. And I'm going to keep moving forward, believing in myself, believing in my dreams. I'm going to move forward in the energy of love, find other people who want to take a leap of faith, to stand up for themselves and believe in themselves and be more authentic and loving, and not move forward caught up more in the worldly dream. We all put in work and effort to have some stability and security in our life and enjoy some of the finer things in life. And for some people, that consumes their life. They are not, some of them, shadowy Scorpio is, I turn my back on love because of probably these issues from my past. And I am an emotionally complex human being, and I don't even want to deal with it. So I prefer to live more from my mind than my heart. And I am kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial. And they're okay with it because that's where they're at in their life. If they were ready to be more authentically themselves and deal with their more emotionally intuitive, loving nature, they would, but they're not there. So they're going to live life in a way that feels right for them, just like we did at different times in our life. We lived our life in a way that seemed right for us, but we're just not the same person anymore. And we've been illuminated to some truth, and maybe just seeing how superficial and shallow making our life more about all those things is. That if it's not love, and that makes me think of that Bible verse, something they read it at weddings. It's like 1 Corinthians something that, if you have all these things of the world, but you don't have love, it's like a resounding gong. There's nothing underlying it except maybe more fear, insecurity, pride, ego, and immaturity. Certainly not emotional maturity. And it looks like people could look like the boss. They look successful and victorious and might have social clout or all these things, but they're maybe not growing or healing or transforming themselves to really be a leader in the world. They could think, oh no, I look like a boss in the world. Well, for people who are more motivated by that, high vibe energy tries to offer love and encouragement to other people for them to grow and heal and mature themselves, because we need more healed people in the world to bring the dream into reality. And some people are very much in their ego and very competitive. Why would I want anybody to do good? I want to look like the shining star. I don't even want other people to be victorious and successful in their life. It takes some of the light the shine off of me. And I kind of like to be the center of attention. So, it can even be to try to sabotage other people because, that's like very negative, shadowy energy, right? High vibe people are done moving forward with people who use their emotions manipulatively but aren't authentic, who take foolish risks in the world, who are defensive to love. They see the truth of it, they deal with the truth of it, and they move on. And the more worldly, shadowy people are sure that this way of living life, this is going to make them happy, because they're maybe in a mental prison about living their more authentic life, because there's things and people within themselves and outside of themselves that they can't be codependent on to make them feel better. They would have to transform their life and emotionally mature and be a good leader in their own life and look at life from a higher perspective, make their life more than just about them or these things of the world. And for some people, that is not their truth. I don't think there is any higher truth or purpose to being on this planet. The world tells me it should be about me, or the world tells me if I do these things, that's living the dream. If I have these things, I'll be happy. And they bought in. The devil tries to confuse us about the truth. Make your life about these things. Oh, you'll be happy. Indulge in these things. You'll be happy. Other people already did it. And they found out all it did was backstab them. It stopped them from moving forward in love and having more confidence within themselves. They were looking to something to be the answer, but it was like a false answer. And they were willing to humble themselves and get out of their ego to see the truth of it. And they were willing to stand up for themselves and not keep moving forward with a way of living life or people in their life where they knew they would miss an opportunity in love. It might have all those things of the world, but they don't work cooperatively, authentically from love. It's more emotionally superficial and shallow. And that's why, as some of you are moving forward, other people could have been moving forward in their own life and they realize, wait a minute, the way I've been living my life or the people I've been aligning myself with, I need to take some time to... But you just need to listen to your intuition, because as you're moving forward, you have free will, so you have to be given choice. There will be immature people who just want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship or be bossy and controlling of you. And you have to listen to your intuition about who's who and kind of protect your more creative, inspired, authentic, loving nature. Not anyone can just be in a relationship with you. And if people seem to still not be aligned with the truth, you'll stay in an energy of love. In high vibe, the 8 of Swords can be that you're staying focused on love, listening to your intuition. And it can be hard because there is people that, we all want relationship, and there could be people you're attracted to, but if they're not being authentic and truthful and they're being defensive, then you can't have your dream come into reality with them anyway. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Libra energy that they might not see coming up? So there could be loving people, basically, is what I'm saying, that could be being manipulated by some people in their life, or they don't see the truth of how they're kind of manipulated by their own shadow nature. And other people are moving forward with people in their life who they think are more on the same page as them. Some people are moving forward in relationships. They're loving, but they're defensive to seeing the truth. They still are in that hopeful energy that one day they'll change. And the other people are like, I'm glad you're not making a decision to invest in believing in yourself. I'm glad you keep investing in me and stay imprisoned with me while I operate from my immature egoic nature. People are always happy when we don't want to acknowledge the truth. And it's finding that balance between how about we have hope and faith and belief that one day they'll change, but in the meantime, I'm going to distance myself from you. And, you go do what you do. And some of you did do that, and you saw what people did, and it just confirmed the truth that they were not who you thought they were. And sometimes we have to realize when some people aren't working together with us cooperatively, it is because they want us to leave so that they can go do whatever the hell they want to go do. We can all keep staying in denial of the truth. And in the Eight of Swords, to close out the cycle, you have to work through that last two swords, which is kind of staying, is it this, is it this, is it this, is it this? Staying kind of in mental conflict about what is the truth, because we don't want to see the truth. And we've all been there. We've all done that. We might know some people who are in that energy. And we could feel like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work out well for them. Because we've been there ourselves. So I guess we're kind of deluding ourselves when we should speak our truth in love. If people keep acting in a certain way, nobody benefits from indulging people in their poor behavior. But, we don't want to be off the handle controlling. It is kind of finding that fine line, right? What's coming up for the high vibe people that they might not see coming is the Four of Cups. Why? Because of the Ace of Cups. Because you offer love to the situation, it will free you, because as you offer love to the situation, it's like high vibe energy, loving energy offers you love, and you take that cup of love. I need to love me. I need to emotionally detach from things that aren't aligned with my truth. And my truth is love. And if other people aren't invested in love, I can keep feeling like I missed an opportunity in love, but I can't miss an opportunity in love with people who aren't really doing love to begin with. And so as we offer ourselves that cup of love to keep moving forward, loving and believing in our dreams, I think we'll have this new emotional beginning. And I think as you move forward in that energy, offering love to other people, treating other people the way you like to be treated, you're going to find people in the world who don't take it for granted and do appreciate it. And they, in turn, will offer you love. And whether that's, being thankful and appreciative at the people at the grocery stores and the coffee shops, I would much rather spend my time just enjoying being around, even how little contact it is, and other people that I might know that you have more contact with and interaction with. But I'm not going to spend my time with people who want me in a mental prison, who try to emotionally manipulate me. And also, shadowy Scorpio can be people who are intimidating and controlling. No. I don't have time for that in my life. It's a waste of my time and energy. And I'm going to go find people in the world who are motivated and inspired by love. And if you're not, go enjoy your life, And I think because you're in alignment with the universe, the divine wants to bring new things into reality. If everybody out of fear and pain and heartbreak keeps repeating old patterns, how can the divine, which is about giving birth to new things, look at how abundant the earth is and all the things that the world and the earth can do, Nature. When we align with our more intuitive, creative, inspired, loving nature, we can give birth to our dreams, but we gotta quit investing our time and energy into things that are dead or are not life-giving. What's coming up for people that harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming? The Five of Pentacles and the Strength card. Why? Because of the Queen of Wands. More worldly, shadowy energy. They've put an end in the Death card to moving forward, harnessing these energies in a high vibe way. The Five of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles I view as Taurus energy. The Five of Pentacles detaches from the Four of Pentacles, an old way of living life that we wanted to hold on to, that we're fearful of detaching from. They do not want to move forward in life any differently. They do not want to temper their more worldly, beastly nature. Why? Because they're more aligned with their egoic nature. Pride, ego, immaturity, defensiveness, ego. And then when some people that are shadowy want to be in relationships, though, with loving people. I live more from my mind than my heart. You operate from a foundation of love. That's my idea of the dream life. I want to move forward with you in a relationship. You let me live from my mind, be more about myself. I will not work cooperatively together with you from a foundation of love. I will work together with you, and I will have sex with you, but I will be defensive to aligning with healing from my past pain and heartbreak or whatever that makes me act this way to begin with. And if during the course of the relationship you detach from things that manipulate you and you're in this energy over here now, well, then I'll be defensive to you because you've changed. And I don't plan to change. And I'll go find someone else who wants to do this pattern with me, and the same thing will happen with that person. Unless they stay in this energy. I do not want to change. I do not want to temper my ego or my fears or my insecurities or my ego. I do not want to be more bold, brave, and authentic. If I look like a boss in the world and I look victorious and successful, I'm good. Well, people act like that, and they are always going to have some people in their life who harness this energy in a more high vibrational way. High vibe Libra, Taurus, Leo. And eventually those people are going to emotionally detach from them. You know, everybody can try to create an illusion. Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. I'm this just and fair person. I'm stable and grounded and emotionally mature, and I'm not prideful, I'm not egotistical, I'm not defensive, I'm not immature, I'm not manipulative, but they are. I don't have past pain and heartbreak that I haven't dealt with. I've worked through it. I am able to move forward. I put an end to that. I'm able to move forward with you. And they create this illusion, the other people kind of indulging themselves in the relationship for as long as the people they're in relationship with will stay in denial of the truth of who they really are. As the high vibe people are trying to bring a dream into reality. And then they're like, why isn't this working out? Why isn't the dream coming into reality? Why aren't we, getting in a more deep, meaningful relationship? Why aren't we emotionally in a more deep, meaningful relationship? And it's like, because the other person, that's not their dream. They want to keep moving forward in their defensive egoic nature with someone who's emotionally nurturing and loving. So it's kind of like, you be the emotionally mature, loving person, I'll be the more shadowy person. Perfect. I'm not loving and nurturing, but I'm in a relationship with someone who is. And eventually the high vibe people realize this is an injustice. And this isn't my idea of the dream life. I also wanted to be in a relationship with someone who's just and fair and balanced and emotionally nurturing and loving. And that's not you. And eventually, just like some of you did, some other people could be getting out of some relationships. They didn't want to detach. They're sad because they actually love those people. But we can't control other people. We can't change other people. They have free will. And if they wanted to be that type of person, they would. And then that might be the big light bulb moment. I need to quit getting in relationships with people who show me they are not open, giving, loving, authentic, healed. Instead of trying, I can offer lots of people love and encouragement. I don't have to get in a more involved relationship with them. I could want to. I could be attracted to them. But I've already been there and done that. It's like, until you do this work within yourself to stand up for yourself and quit giving in to your more immature, defensive, ego, however your manipulated nature, then no, I'm not going to get in a more involved relationship with you. And some of those people could be sad too, because they wanted you to be willing to let them move forward with you, letting them operate from their ego. It's like, no, because I've already been in relationships with people who operate more from their ego. If you haven't learned to do love, and love isn't inspiring enough, what would be inspiring enough? Apparently nothing. So eventually what they don't see coming is they'll probably end up in a relationship with someone who's like themselves, who also might have a lack mentality, is in their Taurus energy, more about ego and image or money and materialism, more prideful and egotistical and defensive, and might be willing to stay in the relationship because it works for them. And the people who want to do love and be in deep, meaningful relationships, it's like, I wish you peace. You know, hope it works out the way you think it's gonna. And they might move forward in it. It might be people who are in relationships that they don't even love. But if it makes them look like a shining star, if it makes them look like they've moved on, looks like they've healed, grown and matured, they're not the same person they were before. They found someone to manipulate in order to, because the most important thing is to create this illusion so that people view you a certain way. You know, well, enjoy your life. Other people are going to do love. So, to each your own. I wish you peace, love, and joy, Libra, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.